Well, good morning. Welcome to Daily Videos with me, Pastor Michelle. Today's Thursday, February 11th, and let's get started with Catching Fire, or Mockingjay, actually. So Katniss is talking to her sister, Prim. After this morning, I'm in no mood to feel sorry for 13. No more than we did in 12, I say. I see my mother lead in a group of mobile patients still wearing their hospital nightgowns and robes. Finnick stands among them, looking dazed but gorgeous. In his hands he holds a piece of thin rope, less than a foot in length, too short for even him to fashion into a usable noose. His fingers move rapidly, automatically tying and unraveling various knots as he gazes about, probably part of his therapy. I cross to him and say, "Hey, Finnick." He doesn't seem to notice. "Finnick, how are you doing?" "Katniss," he says, gripping my hand. Relieved to see a familiar face, I think. "Why are we meeting here?" "I told Coin I'd be her Mockingjay, but I made her promise to give the other tributes immunity if the rebels win in public, so there are plenty of witnesses." "Oh, good, because I worry about that with Annie, that she'll say something that could be construed as a traitorous without knowing it." Annie. Totally forgot her. "Don't worry, I took care of it." I gave Finnick's hand a squeeze and head straight for the podium at the front of the room. Coin, who is glancing over her statement, raises her eyebrows at me. "I need you to add Annie Cresta to the immunity list." "Who's that?" "She's Finnick Odair's, but I don't really know what to call her. She's Finnick's friend from 4, another Victor. She was arrested and taken to the Capitol when the arena blew up." "Oh, the mad girl. That's not really necessary. We don't make a habit of punishing anyone that frail." I think of the scene I walked in on this morning of Octavia huddled against the wall, of how Coin and I must have vastly different definitions of frailty. But I only say, "No, then it shouldn't be a problem to add Annie." "All right," the president says, penciling in Annie's name. "Do you want to be up here with me for the announcement?" I shake my head. I didn't think so. "Better hurry and lose yourself in the crowd. I'm about to begin." I make my way back to Finnick. Words are another thing not wasted in 13. Coin calls the audience to attention and tells them I have consented to be the Mockingjay, provided the other victors will be granted full pardon for any damage they do to the rebel cause. In the rumbling of the crowd, I hear the dissent. I suppose no one doubted I would want to be the Mockingjay, so naming a price, one that spares possible enemies, angers them. I stand indifferent to the hostile looks thrown my way. The president allows a few moments of unrest and continues in her brisk fashion. Only now the words coming out of her mouth are news to me. "But in return for this unprecedented request, Soldier Everdeen has promised to devote herself to our cause. It follows that any deviance from her mission, in either motive or deed, will be viewed as a break in this agreement. The immunity would be terminated, and the fate of the 4 victors determined by the law of 13, as would her own. Thank you." So in other words, she's saying, I step out of line and we're all dead. All right. So how's everyone doing on this Thursday morning? I've got to say, just to, talk a little bit personally. So this year has been a very, this pandemic has been hellish, right? It's been hell on earth at times. But I do have to say that this past year during the pandemic, I feel like I've gotten to do a lot of personal development, personal and professional, and even relational. We're not quite there yet, but Janelle and I have been working on our marriage, on our relationship a lot more, and uncovering things in our closet, so to speak. That may not be the right word. As I see my own therapist, she sees a therapist, and I think that we're doing a lot of personal development and relational development with each other. And I got to say, it's not easy. Some days I just want to be like, screw it and throw in the towel. But, sometimes the best things in life require the most effort. So, yeah, I wanted to just share that with you. I'm all about making myself the best leader I can be as well. So I want to always be in a state of learning, because there's just so much out there to learn. And that's how I see television shows too. I'm always in the state of watching. So anyway, I wanted to just share that with you. So our LGBTQIA plus hero of the day is Ada Bello. And she was a Cuban or they, I don't know if it's a her or well, or doesn't matter what gender. But Ada was a Cuban American activist. So Ada was born into a middle-class family in Havana, Cuba in 1933. Aware from early on that she was attracted to girls, she also knew coming out in a heavily Catholic, intensely machista Cuba would be impossible. In 1957, she crossed to the U.S. in search of freedom. In 1967, she helped launch the Philadelphia chapter of the Daughters of Bilitis. Later, she helped found the Homophilia Action League, possibly the first gay rights organization to seize on the idea of enlisting politicians as allies. For several years, Ada also participated in the July 4th Reminder Day demonstrations in front of Philadelphia's Independence Hall, designed to draw a connection between gay and lesbian rights in the Constitution. Over the decades, she contributed to countless Philadelphia gay groups and initiatives. In 2015, Ada was honored by GALA, G-A-L-A-E-I, Philadelphia's Queer Latino Social Justice Organization, with their David Acosta Revolutionary Leadership Award. So that's great. Yeah, it looks like she did quite a bit in her lifetime. And one of the things she says, when I came to Philly, I thought, oh my God, this is El Dorado. This is the anonymity of the big city and the fact that nobody knew me. And I was working at the University of Pennsylvania, and they had more liberal standings. But when I started looking for a gay community, the way to find the gay community was going to bars. To go to a bar, you had to go down some dark alley, and then you knock on a door of an unmarked address. And then once you're in, the police could come and raid the place. It didn't take too long to disabuse me of the notion that this was a perfectly free environment. So, yeah. I mean, there was a lot that she had to go through. So good for her, though. So Ada, it says about the interview, because this book has interviews. Outwards interviewed Ada in April 2018 in Philadelphia. Although sad that Ada was forced to leave her homeland to find freedom, we're glad she found it in Philly. And we're grateful for the spark and spirit she brought to America's gay rights revolution. And we love the image of Ada driving a getaway car. Where's that picture? I don't know if I have that in here. No, I don't. But yeah, it sounds like she did a lot. And I think about the importance of having, support groups. Because I know when I was at my first UCC church, Nexus, we didn't have a LGBT support group, and I actually set that up myself. And truth be told, that's one of the many things that opened my eyes to see I'm meant to be a pastor, because it was my first experience being with, doing ministry with adults, because most of the ministry I did was with kids. So, and the LGBT support group that I started, it was a really good thing. We had some really great sessions after church. Yeah. If it wasn't, I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for that group, because I always thought I was just going to be a youth pastor, but now I'm an actual pastor. Not that youth pastors aren't pastor, but you know what I mean. Anyway, funny how life turns out. So let's turn and hear how life is with these humans of New York. They say, I've got an hour between therapy and family therapy. And she says, if I've put off an assignment until the last minute, the logical thing would be to just do it. Instead, I think maybe I should not go to school and not talk to anyone, curl up and be a little ball of sadness forever. I don't want to be happy because I don't think that's realistic, but I would like to be able to deal with life. What's your greatest fear? Loneliness and suicide, but mainly loneliness. And then these two were acting like complete teenagers. When I walked up, she was nuzzling her head against his shoulder. She giggled the entire time I talked with them, while he kept a big, goofy grin on his face. And whenever I asked about their relationship, she clutched his arm, looked at him just like this, and giggled. We're not telling. Well, I would assume they're just in love with each other. Hopefully they're not, cheating on their spouses or something. Anyway, yeah, that's funny. So Let's hear God's love note and be done for today. First, a reading from Isaiah. What day did I say this was? It's February 11th. So it's from Isaiah. Comfort my people, says your God. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem and cry to her that she has served her term, that her penalty is paid, that she has received from the Lord's hand double for all her sins. And God's love note. It's true that when people sin, there are costs. My laws were intended to guide people to a better life for them and their community. When a nation sins, the costs of those sins multiply across many people. And yet what I always want is for reconciling and healing to occur, for things to be made right, for people to be able to get back on a path. Millennia ago, both religious and political leaders made sinful choices that put vulnerable people at risk. Their nation fell, and yet I did not abandon them. I dreamed of a day they would do right by me and be reconciled to me. And whenever anything you do creates a barrier between us, I pray the same for you and for your nation also. So, my friends, God bless you. Stay safe out there.